Calcium is one of those things we hear about our whole lives. And then, somewhere after 60, it quietly starts to matter more than ever for our bones and for the way our muscles and nerves work every single day. Here is the good news. You do not need a cabinet full of supplements or a gallon of milk to get it. A lot of ordinary foods are naturally rich in calcium, and a couple of them might genuinely surprise you. Today I'm sharing 9 everyday foods, the kind you can actually buy and enjoy, that give you real, naturally occurring calcium, not the added-in kind. I'm Timothy, this is the Garden Pantry, and number 8 is a sweet little food almost nobody thinks of as a calcium food at all. Let's start with one you already know. Number 1 is plain yogurt. Dairy really does earn its reputation here, and yogurt is one of the easiest ways to get it. A single cup of plain yogurt gives you somewhere around 300 to 450 milligrams of calcium, which is a real chunk of the roughly 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams many adults over 60 aim for in a day. What makes yogurt especially nice as we get older is that it is soft, it is easy to eat, and the live cultures are gentle on a lot of stomachs, even for some folks who find a plain glass of milk hard to digest. Reach for plain yogurt rather than the sweetened cups, and stir in your own fruit or a little honey so you control the sugar. If you prefer Greek yogurt, it is a touch lower in calcium spoon for spoon, because straining it removes some of the liquid, but it gives you extra protein in return, so it is still a very good choice. A cup in the morning, or a few spoonfuls swirled into oatmeal, and you have already made a real dent in your day's calcium. And if regular dairy does not sit well with you, do not worry, because most of this list is not dairy at all. Number 2 might make you pause: canned sardines. Now stay with me, because these little fish are one of the best calcium foods you can keep in the pantry, and the secret is the soft, edible bones. When you eat a can of sardines, bones and all, you get around 325 milligrams of calcium, close to what you would get from a glass of milk, and that calcium comes right from those tender little bones, which are completely soft and safe to eat. On top of that, you get protein and those heart and brain-friendly omega-3 fats. Look for sardines canned with the bones left in, then mash them onto whole grain toast with a squeeze of lemon, or fold them into a simple salad. If sardines feel like a stretch, canned salmon with the bones works exactly the same way. It is an inexpensive, shelf-stable way to get calcium that has nothing to do with the dairy aisle. Keep a few cans on hand, and coming up in just a moment, I will show you a leafy green that is far better than spinach for this. Number 3 is kale. And here is where a very common myth gets cleared up. A lot of people reach for spinach, thinking it is a calcium powerhouse. Spinach is high in calcium on paper, but it is also very high in a natural compound called oxalate, which locks up most of that calcium, so your body can only absorb a small fraction of it. Kale is the opposite. It is naturally low in oxalate, so the calcium in it is very well absorbed. Some of the best absorption of any food on this whole list. A cooked cup of kale gives you a solid dose of calcium your body can actually use. Cook it down soft with a little olive oil and garlic, stir it into soups, or blend a handful into a smoothie where you will not even taste it. Other low oxalate greens like bok choy, broccoli, and turnip greens work just as well. So if you have been eating mountains of spinach for your bones, kale is the smarter, better absorbed choice. Now you may have noticed something already. We are 3 foods in, and only one of them came from the dairy case. That is really the whole point of this list. Calcium is not locked away in milk. It turns up all over an ordinary kitchen, in the pantry, the produce drawer, and the cupboard, once you know where to look. So let's keep looking. Number 4 is white beans. The humble navy, cannellini, or great northern bean. A cooked cup gives you roughly 120 to 160 milligrams of calcium, along with a generous amount of fiber and plant protein, which is a lot of practical nourishment from a very cheap, shelf-stable food. Now, beans do contain some natural compounds that make a little of their calcium harder to absorb, so think of them as a steady, everyday contributor rather than a superstar. But that steady contribution really adds up, especially if beans are already part of your week. Stir them into soups and stews, mash them onto toast, or toss them cold with olive oil and lemon for a quick bean salad. Canned white beans are just as good as dried here, and draining and rinsing them lowers the sodium. It is one of the easiest and most affordable ways to add a little calcium to almost any meal. Number 5 is almonds. A 1-ounce serving, about a small handful or a little over 20 almonds, carries around 75 to 95 milligrams of calcium, plus healthy fats, protein, and vitamin E. What I love about almonds after 60 is how practical they are. They keep for months, they need no cooking, and a small handful makes a genuinely satisfying snack that happens to be doing your bones a quiet favor. A spoonful of almond butter on apple slices or whole grain toast does the very same thing. 2 small notes. Nuts are rich in calories, so a handful, not a bowlful, is the right amount. And if whole almonds are hard on your teeth, almond butter or finely ground almonds give you the same calcium in a softer, easier form. Simple, portable, and no refrigerator required. Here is one tip that ties all of this together. Your body needs vitamin D to actually absorb the calcium you work so hard to eat, and a lot of older adults run a little low on it. You get some from a bit of sunshine, and some from foods like eggs and fatty fish, including those sardines we talked about. And it is worth asking your doctor at your next visit whether your vitamin D is where it should be. Calcium and vitamin D really are a team. Number 6 is chia seeds. And these tiny seeds punch well above their size. Just 2 tablespoons give you about 180 milligrams of calcium, along with fiber and those plant-based omega-3 fats. The lovely thing about chia is how easily it slips into food you are already eating. Stir a spoonful into yogurt or oatmeal, blend it into a smoothie, or make an overnight chia pudding by soaking the seeds in milk with a little fruit, which turns soft and pudding-like and is very easy to eat. Because chia soaks up liquid and softens completely, it is gentle and simple for older adults, with no chewing required at all. Keep a jar in the cupboard, and a spoonful here and there quietly builds up your calcium through the day. And speaking of foods hiding in plain sight, the one coming up at number 8 is a sweet little thing you would never guess belonged on a calcium list. Number 7 is tahini, the smooth paste made from ground sesame seeds. Sesame is one of the most calcium-rich seeds there is, and 2 tablespoons of tahini give you around 130 milligrams. You have probably had it in hummus, but tahini is wonderful on its own too. Drizzle it over roasted vegetables, whisk it with lemon and a little water into a quick dressing, or spread it on toast with a touch of honey. It is a rich, savory way to add calcium with no dairy at all. One important caution here: sesame is a common allergen, so if you have a sesame allergy, this one is not for you, and any of the others on this list will do the job just as well. We are 2 foods from the end, and if this is helping you see calcium in a whole new way, take a second to subscribe to the Garden Pantry, where we keep the practical, trustworthy food tips for life after 60 coming every week. All right, here is that surprising one I promised. Number 8 is the food I have been teasing: dried figs. Most people think of figs as a sweet little snack, not a calcium food, but they are quietly one of the better fruit sources there is. About a half cup of dried figs, or roughly 5 of them, gives you around 120 milligrams of calcium, along with fiber that a lot of us appreciate for keeping things moving comfortably. They are naturally sweet, soft, and easy to chew, which makes them a genuinely nice option after 60. Enjoy a few on their own, chop them into oatmeal or yogurt, or pair them with a little cheese, which brings us neatly to our final food. Just remember that dried fruit is concentrated in natural sugar, so a small handful is the right serving, especially if you are keeping an eye on your blood sugar. And number 9 is cheese, a satisfying way to finish. Hard cheeses are calcium dense. A single ounce of cheddar has around 200 milligrams, and Parmesan even more, so a little goes a long way. Cheese is soft or easy to melt, it keeps well, and it adds calcium to food you are already making. Grated over vegetables or soup, a slice alongside those figs, or a small piece with whole grain crackers. 2 gentle notes: cheese can be high in sodium and saturated fat, so enjoy it in modest amounts, a small portion rather than a big pile. And if dairy does not agree with you, you have already seen 8 other ways on this list to get your calcium. As a nice bonus, many aged cheeses are naturally very low in lactose, so some folks who struggle with a glass of milk handle them just fine. So there are 9 everyday foods that are naturally rich in calcium: plain yogurt, canned sardines, kale, white beans, almonds, chia seeds, tahini, dried figs, and cheese. Here is the real takeaway. You do not need to rely on one single food, and you do not need to reach straight for a supplement. The easiest and gentlest way to get your calcium is to spread it across a few of these through the day, from the pantry, the fridge, and the produce drawer. Everyone's needs are a little different, so if you have kidney stones, kidney disease, or you are thinking about a calcium supplement, that is a good conversation to have with your doctor or a dietitian, because getting calcium from food first is usually the safer path. Now, I would love to hear from you. Which of these calcium-rich foods do you already eat? Tell me down in the comments. And if you want to keep building strong, practical meals after 60, my video on 20 protein foods that help support muscle after 60 is a perfect one to watch next. Thank you for being here at the Garden Pantry. I will see you soon.